Good morning. This is NBN News at 7 a.m. And we begin today with updates on the currently ongoing Sino-Russian war. Here, MIA heard with more on this story. MIA.
Thanks, Hudson. I am standing near the Russian election offices where 2 months ago the Sino-Russian war began. It all started after the death of Putin, as, according to Russian law, 90 days after the president dies, an election is called. However, as the oligarchs bickered, the democratic opposition took over the Russian election offices in a shocking move. The Chinese military junta then, in a bold move, crossed the border into Mongolia, Central Asia, and Siberia. Now with the conflicted, seemingly in a stalemate, a disturbing rumor has surfaced for the Pentagon that China might use VX on the front line, which the U.S. has made very clear that if they were to do so, it would be condenser a humanitarian crisis and bring NATO into the war. For now, things are uncertain. Let's all hope for the best. Mia Hurd, NBN News, Moscow.
Whopper, Whopper, Junior, Double, Triple, Whopper, Impossible or Bacon Whopper, I rule this day.
This message is transmitted at the request of the United States government and the White House at 7:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It was confirmed that China had gassed the Russian town of Perm. In response, the United States has no choice but to bomb the front line of this war. While this will likely to war with China, we cannot let China do what it's currently doing unopposed. Now, to be clear, we officially are not at war. However, China has stated that dire consequences, so now is the time to prepare. In order to prepare, you must have 1. A battery power of hand crank radio, 2. A supply of food and water, and 3. An area with settler. This message will repeat every 10 minutes.
Good evening. This is Zebra News with a shocking update. The Pentagon has confirmed the presence of fighter jets in North American airspace.
This message is transmitted at the request of the United States government, the White House, and Civil Emergency Management Agency at 7:45 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It was confirmed that Page A paratroopers had landed all across western cities of the United States. These cities include Eureka, California, San Francisco, California, Los Angeles, California, San Diego, California, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Tacoma, Washington, Juneau, Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska, Slam, Oregon, and Nome, Alaska. All residents of these cities are advised to evacuate immediately and seek shelter nearby states. Normal programming will now resume.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
My fellow Americans, to blunt, we are in worst war for our nation since 1814. Our West Coast is under siege by an enemy that has so far reached the Rocky Mountains and Rio Grande. And it is unclear if we can even win at this time. But it's worth trying, as if we surrender now, the free world will die. So we must stay united and free against evil. No compromise. I repeat, no.
This message is transmitted at the request of the United States government, the White House and Civil Emergency Management Agency at 7:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It was confirmed that page L. A paratroopers had landed all across eastern cities of the United States. These cities include Washington, D.C., New York City, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, Norfolk, Virginia, Baltimore, Maryland, and Boston, Massachusetts. All residents of these cities are advised to evacuate immediately and seek shelter nearby states. Normal programming will now resume.
This is a message transmitted at the request of the Committee of Seven of the People's Republic of New York, the People's Liberation Army, and the Atlantic People's Union. There are 2 nukes headed for New York City and Boston. Repeating, there are 2 nukes headed for New York City and Boston. Seek shelter now. Repeating, seek shelter now.
Whopper, Whopper, Junior, Double, Triple, Whopper.
This message is transmitted at the request of the North American Aerospace Defense Command and the government of the United States. 2 nukes are headed to Kansas City and Pierre. Seek shelter now. Repeating, 2 nukes are headed to Kansas City and Pierre. Seek shelter now. Repeating, 2 nukes are headed to Kansas City and Pierre. Seek shelter now.
Good evening. This NBN News Alert. The United States and China have agreed to a ceasefire, ending World War III. Tense, but hopefully, note here, is Sterling Edison with more on that story. Sterling?
Thanks, Ember. I am on the ruins of what used to be the White House, a place where just resonantly the president and vice president died at the hands of the Chinese. However, it seems that the U.S. did not seem to be angry at China for their actions during the war when the talks began in Rome 4 hours ago. In fact, things seemed calm. As for the peace calmness, it was around equal, as the peace treaty called for only the border say the same as the font line, that it hostility a good deal for both sides. Sterling Wilson, NBN News, former D.C. area. Key.P.